is the apocalypse now. The difficult Duchess's worst nightmare has come true. Her response to her father's life or death drama.
Harry called Archie his African.
For years, the Sussexes have operated under a specific belief system that if they scream loud enough, accuse fiercely enough, and threaten legal action quickly enough, the world will back down. They believed that the monarchy, terrified of being called racist or unsupportive, would never dare to look under the hood of their carefully constructed narrative.
Think so. William's very matter of fact, But
they were wrong. The collapse of the House of Montecito didn't begin with a bang. It didn't start with a courtroom showdown or a hysterical interview on a U.S. talk show. It started with a whisper inside the cold, stone corridors of Westminster. According to high-level parliamentary insiders, the first tremor was a sealed procedural motion filed late on a Thursday evening. This is the time when the cleaners are buffing the floors and the politicians have gone to the bars. It wasn't labeled urgent. It wasn't labeled explosive. It was labeled with the most boring bureaucratic title imaginable: Administrative Clarification Regarding Line of Succession Verification.
Becoming a new mum, and tell us a little bit about baby Sussex, as we're calling him.
To the untrained eye, it looked like paperwork. But to the few aides who read the internal summary, the blood drained from their faces. A formal verification inquiry had been triggered, not public, not adversarial, but official. And the name at the center of it wasn't Meghan Markle. It was Archie Harrison Mountbatten-Windsor. The question being asked wasn't, is he cute? Or is he loved? The question was, does the documentation proving his royal status actually exist? The trigger for this quiet bureaucratic explosion wasn't random. Sources confirmed the inquiry was activated within hours of Tom Bower's now infamous remark at a London literary event. Tom Bower is not a gossip blogger. He is a former BBC journalist and a barrister. He understands the law better than most of Meghan's PR team. When he sat on that stage, leaned back, and fixed the audience with his familiar fox-like stare, he didn't shout. He didn't wave his arms. He simply dropped a sentence that changed the temperature of the room. The public has never been told the truth about Archie's birth.
Archie, who was born on May 6th.
He let the words hang there. He knew exactly what he was doing. He was inviting a lawsuit. In fact, he was baiting one. When he added, "and I'm prepared to defend that statement in court," he was sending a coded message to California. By the time the sun rose in Los Angeles, Meghan Markle was reportedly spiraling. Her team went into overdrive. Lawyers were summoned. Threats of defamation were drafted. They wanted Bower silenced, retracted, and apologized to. But when the legal warning reached Bower, his response was devastating in its simplicity. He didn't apologize. He reportedly replied with 3 words: "Proceed as you wish." And then the kicker: "Discovery benefits truth." That was the moment the fear truly set in at Montecito. Meghan knows what discovery means. It means medical records. It means unsealing documents. It means putting doctors under oath. It is the one thing narrative control cannot survive. Bower was effectively saying, "Sue me, please. I want you to sue me so I can legally force the truth into the public domain." While Meghan was fighting fires in California, a far more dangerous scene was playing out at Kensington Palace. The concern from Westminster hadn't just stayed in Parliament. It had been physically delivered to Prince William. It didn't arrive via a royal equerry or an official red box. It arrived as a plain, unmarked package left at a private entrance, bypassing the usual security screening for correspondence. There was no return address, no wax seal, just a handwritten note scrawled across the front in uneven ink. For the future of the monarchy, open personally, Prince William, a man who has grown increasingly cautious and hardened over the last few years, did exactly that. He opened it alone. Inside, according to sources close to the palace, was a thick dossier. It wasn't a rant. It wasn't a collection of internet conspiracy theories. It was pages and pages of meticulously organized material, timelines, hospital logs, witness accounts, The first page carried a title that made William's stomach drop. Archie Harrison, Mountbatten-Windsor, a timeline review. What followed was a forensic dismantling of the official story. It highlighted the Portland hospital announcement, how the timing didn't match the traffic logs. It pointed out the confusion in the palace's own statements that day, where they announced Meghan was in labor hours after the child had allegedly already been born. It highlighted the signatures of the doctors, or rather, the lack of them on public notices. Nothing in the file explicitly said, "This is a lie." It simply said, "This does not align." And in the world of royalty, where legitimacy is the only currency that matters, a lack of alignment is fatal. But there was one detail in that dossier that reportedly froze William in place, a detail that turned this from a bureaucratic headache into a personal horror show. Deep within the file was a witness account. It was anonymous, carefully redacted to protect the source's identity, but it was precise in one chilling way. The witness referenced a physical detail about Archie, a birthmark, small and distinctive, located on a specific part of the child's body that is never visible in photos. William stopped reading. He remembered that mark. He had seen it once, briefly, during an awkward family gathering years earlier when Archie was an infant. It was a fleeting moment, a diaper change or a bath time that William had inadvertently walked in on. No one else had commented on it. It wasn't public knowledge. It had never been photographed. And yet, here it was, described with exact clinical accuracy by a witness who, according to the official narrative, should never have seen the child naked. If the official story was true, only Meghan, Harry, and a select few doctors should know about that mark. The fact that a third party knew it implied that someone else was in the room. Someone else was involved in the care or perhaps the birth of that child. That was the moment William reportedly grabbed the secure phone and ordered a sealed internal verification. No leaks, he reportedly told his most trusted aide. No assumptions, but we need to know if we have been lied to. Across the Atlantic, the walls were closing in on Meghan Markle. The headlines were relentless. Royal baby questions reignite. Parliament sources confirm internal review. Her phone didn't stop vibrating. Lawyers, advisors, PR strategists, everyone was talking at once, and everyone was asking the same question she couldn't answer out loud. How much do they know? But what pushed Meghan from anger into something closer to panic was Harry's silence. For 48 hours, the prince disappeared. He didn't issue a statement defending his wife. He didn't leak a supportive quote to Page 6 or People magazine. He went dark. Commentators noticed, the public noticed. One headline asks, "What kind of father says nothing when his child's birth is questioned?" Another asks, "Is silence protection or admission?" During this blackout, a heated, off-the-record exchange reportedly took place between Meghan's camp and Tom Bower's intermediaries. The conversation was meant to be a negotiation to kill the story. Instead, it became a disaster. Tense, emotional, and unguarded, Meghan reportedly slipped. In the heat of the argument, defending her privacy, she reportedly used a phrase that set off alarm bells. She didn't say, "when I gave birth." According to the account, she used the phrasing, "the woman who gave birth." The sentence reportedly stopped there, cut short as she realized her mistake. But it was enough. In high-stakes legal narratives, linguistic distancing is a key indicator of deception. You distance yourself from the event you are lying about, the woman, not me. From that moment on, the story stopped being about gossip. It became about verification. The climax of this drama didn't happen on Zoom. It happened on British soil. A private jet touched down at RAF Northolt under a sky the color of bruised steel. Prince Harry stepped onto the tarmac like a man walking to his own execution. There were no cameras, no Netflix crew, no cheering crowds, just a waiting black Range Rover and the suffocating weight of history. He hadn't told Meghan he was coming. For the first time in years, he had made a decision alone. He knew he couldn't hide in Montecito anymore. The dossier was real. The inquiry was real. Windsor Castle loomed ahead, ancient and unyielding. Harry was ushered into a secluded room Far from the tourist routes and the ceremonial corridors, Prince William was waiting. There were no aides present, no courtiers to take notes, just two brothers and a truth that had been circling them like a vulture for 5 years. William didn't stand when Harry entered. He didn't smile. He looked exhausted, older than his years, the weight of the crown already etched into the lines around his eyes. The silence stretched until it became physically painful. William didn't scream. He asked one question, flatly. Did she give birth to Archie? Harry froze. His mouth opened, then closed again. For a moment, he didn't look like a rebel prince or a war veteran. He looked like the frightened younger brother he used to be, the boy who hid behind William at their mother's funeral. I don't know, Harry finally whispered, his voice cracked. Not for certain. That admission, I don't know, was more damaging than a confession. It revealed that Harry wasn't necessarily the mastermind of a plot, but perhaps the victim of one. He admitted that in the chaos of the birth, the secrecy, the doctors he didn't know, the procedures he wasn't allowed to question, he had simply believed what he was told. That was all William needed to hear. He pushed a folder across the table. It was the Dossier. Inside were copies of the witness statements, timelines cross-referenced with Harry's own travel records, and one final document that made Harry's blood run cold, a preliminary legal opinion from constitutional experts. If Archie's birth was misrepresented, William said quietly, his place in the line of succession can be legally challenged. Parliament has grounds to act. This isn't about valid surrogacy or adoption, Harry. We don't care about that personally. We care about the law. The 1,917 rules say a royal heir must be born of the body. If he wasn't, and you claimed he was, that is fraud against the crown. William leaned forward. This is bigger than Meghan. It's bigger than you. If Parliament concludes there was deception, they won't stop at stripping titles. They will demand answers from the palace itself. They will ask if the Queen knew. They will ask if I knew. Harry buried his face in his hands. She said it was the only way, he stammered. She said the media would destroy us. She said they'd never accept the child otherwise. She said we had to control the narrative. William looked at his brother with a mixture of pity and fury. Did you believe her? Harry didn't answer. The silence said everything. William stood up and walked to the window overlooking the grounds. You still have a choice, he said, his back to Harry. Tell the truth now, privately. Withdraw the children from the line of succession voluntarily. Cite privacy, we will back you. Or let Parliament find out on their own. And if they find out, it explodes publicly. Either way, it's coming. When Harry returned to California days later, he was a changed man. The defiance was gone. Meghan saw the change immediately as he walked through the doors of the Olive Garden mansion. She saw the distance in his eyes, the resolve. That night, after the children were asleep, the confrontation finally happened. I'm done lying, Harry said. His voice was quiet, but it carried a finality she hadn't heard before. Meghan's face hardened. The mask of the compassionate humanitarian slipped. You're choosing them over us, she accused. You're letting them win. After everything I gave up for you? I'm choosing the truth, Harry replied. For Archie, for Lilibet, and for myself, I cannot live waiting for the knock on the door. The scream that followed reportedly echoed through the mansion. It was raw, unfiltered rage. It was the sound of a carefully constructed reality shattering into a million pieces. Meghan realized in that moment that her greatest weapon, Harry's blind loyalty, had finally run out of ammunition.